Hello. So I'm guessing right now we are most likely streaming into the wonderful world that is YouTube. So hello if you're on YouTube. If you want to drop me a note in the comments so I know you can see me, that's what I'm trying to say, then please do. Yes, this is the waffly bit before we start properly. If you are somewhere in the Facebook realms, because we should be on Facebook right now, then please do again drop a comment in. Let me know where you are in the world, what you're thinking, how you found the event so far, any of that kind of stuff, just so I know you're out there. For you guys who are on Facebook and YouTube, this is just whilst we're waiting for the video to get as far as the main summit platform. This is part of the main summit. Yes, this is part of the eCommerce MasterPlan Virtual Summit 2021. And I've just shared a chat in YouTube and Facebook for you to catch up with us if you want to see the whole summit. So you're welcome to stick around for this Q&A as we're streaming it. But if you want to catch any of the summits, you can do that for free by signing up at ecmp.info/summit 2021. And that's where you will find all the lovely comment we're going to talk about, the sessions by each of my guests today, and hopefully in the very near future this will actually appear on the event page so we can start properly, because at the moment it's not appearing on the event page, which it worked yesterday, so why is it not working today? Questions. So anyone cool. We got Matt, who's one of the panelists, who's currently hidden from all you guys, who's telling me YouTube's working. So that's good. I'm currently blathering nonsense on YouTube whilst we wait for this to make it as far as the actual summit site. And I double checked all the settings this morning, so this should be working. But for some reason or another, it is not wanting to show. How frustrating, everybody. How very, very frustrating. That one's working. This one here should be live. Isn't live. How tedious. We will be there in a moment. Oh, there we go. You've probably... Okay. We are working. Right. I'm going to shut myself up on that screen because nobody needs to hear me twice on a slight delay. And now that we're on all the platforms we should be on, hurrah, quite frankly, we are going to start properly, which means I need to head over here and I need to hit this. See you on the other side of this one. Hello, welcome to the Q&A at the end of day 2 of the eCommerce MasterPlan Virtual Summit. Today we've been all about customer retention, and we should be currently broadcasting live, unless you're watching the replay, in which case this isn't live, but it's great to have you here. We should be broadcasting live across Facebook and across YouTube and on the summit site itself. So if you are joining us on YouTube or Facebook and you're going, what's she on about? What's this summit thing? You should have a comment somewhere near you which shows you how to get access. But if you go to ecmp.info/summit 2021, you can sign up completely for free and you'll get access to all the replays because everything's already happened. You can't watch any of it live apart from this, and you're already watching this live. But you can get all the replays if you head there. Those are available to you for free, and you can dive into various things we might mention today and the sessions done by each of my 3, possibly 4 guests in this Q&A session. If you've got questions for my guests or for me about customer retention, ideally, but we may well take anything. We'll see how we go for time. Then add that in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook, and it'll ping through here, or on the comments section on the page if you are watching it on the Summit page itself. And we will do our best to do those. Now, there can be a slight delay, so I suggest you get those in quickly. Also, we only have until the o'clock to cover all of this. So if you really, 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 really want your question answered, ask it now. Don't delay, because I have to try and fit all these in and get them answered, which means the sooner you ask, the sooner we are likely to get your questions answered. So those, I think, are the key things I need to tell you. Let's have a look and double check what else I'm supposed to tell you at this point. Let's see. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you how awesome our sponsors are. So let's do that quickly, because that's important, because I've already mentioned that this event is completely for free. Well, the reason why you get to come and join this event for free and get all the great content that our over 900 attendees have been watching so far is because of these 6 companies who have paid up their sponsorship money, so I can allow all of you guys to access this for free today, tomorrow, next week, and well beyond. So we have Omnisend. We're going to be joined by Greg from Omnisend shortly. We've also got Pure 360. We've got Russell from Pure 360 on this call. We are also sponsored by Klaviyo. It's a bit of an email marketing thing going on here. Digital Gearbox, Wix, eCommerce, and Fresh Relevance. So a huge thank you to them from me and also from all of you, because quite frankly, without them, you would not be getting to see this for free, and you'd have had to stump up ticket money, which, you know, I think this content would be worth paying for, but it's very cool to have had it for free. So thank you to all the sponsors. And if you're in the summit, do at some point head over to our partners tab, where you can find out more about each of our sponsors. Or if you go to replays and select the sponsor showcase category, you can watch some intros to some of them to find out a bit more about them too. Right, that is the screen sharing done for today, which must mean that it is time for me to be joined by my marvelous, beautiful panelists, all 4 of them here, fresh, ready to answer your questions. So let's get them up on screen with me. And this is the first time I've done one of these with 4 people, so I was quite intrigued to see where all the boxes ended up. I was slightly worried someone would be disappeared, but you're all here, so that's good. Let's get rid of this, and let's give you all a chance to introduce yourselves. Greg, because you're on mute, let's start with you. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and Omnisend, and I will find a thing which tells people how they can find out more as well.
Sure. This might be the first time in the last year and a half I've unmuted at the right time, so still getting used to it. So, Chloe, thanks for having us. Omnisend and the rest of the panelists, thanks for a great day as well. So myself, Greg Zackwitz, I'm a director of content here at Omnisend. I've been in email game for 15 plus years now, which seems like a long time. I might not look that old, but I'm definitely creeping up there. My bones are starting to ache a little bit. But Omnisend, if just very quickly, we are an email and SMS marketing automation provider, specifically built for e-commerce brands. So we have native integrations with plug and play integrations with Shopify, Shopify Plus, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, just to name a few as well. We do not only email and SMS, but we also do web push notifications. We do Facebook and Instagram ad sync, as well as Google platform ad sync as well, all through the same platform, which is really great. Best thing about all the channels is you can integrate those all into the same workflows as well. So we talk about marketing automation. Our whole tagline is increasing sales without the workload, and that's kind of what we aim to do with our platform. So you can see Greg at omnisend.com, omnisend.com for more information, but feel free to let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, Chloe, we can't hear you.
I'm muted. See, it happened in someone's session during the summit, because I have a hard mute button here. And I was just saying, Jessica's muted, so I'm going to go to Jessica next. And that was quite entertaining. That was my new trigger for who gets to speak is the person who's muted, but I was muted, so it wasn't going to work at all. So Jessica, please let us know a bit more about you and e-commerce badassery and that kind of stuff. That would be great. Thank you. If you can unmute, that is. Jessica, can you hear me?
Are you talking to me? Everything is really choppy. I'm going to leave and come back.
Okay, cool. Sounds like a plan. In which case, we'll go to Matt. Would you like to let us know a bit more about you, Matt, and where people can find out more?
Sure. I feel like I need to put myself on mute now just to, be consistent with the whole thing. So sure, my name is Matt Edmondson. I host the e-commerce podcast, which is how Chloe and I met doing podcasting. We both love podcasting, which is just great. I feel a little bit out of depth because I have nothing to do with email marketing in any way, unlike everybody else on the panel. But yeah, I've been around e-commerce since 2002, been an e-commerce entrepreneur since 2002. I've bought and sold or failed at about 20 e-commerce businesses over that time, and just thoroughly enjoy it, and now do the podcast. And yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, really.
Excellent. And the reason you've got the eCommerceMasterPlan.com/crew down there is because Matt, like Jessica, who's got problems with audio and will hopefully be back soon, as well as all three of us being podcasters, they are both members of my e-commerce master plan crew who, because I don't have time to work directly with retailers anymore, they are now the people I recommend if you need help in your business to go and deal with, because I've tested them out and they're also great people. So, what's not to love? Exactly. You can find out more there. We'll see. Jessica, hello.
Hi.
How's it we got this time?
Yes, I think it's a little bit better. I'm not sure what's happening. So
awesome.
you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, do that before the audio goes.
You got it. So my name is Jessica Totillo-Coster, and I help e-commerce businesses grow their traffic, sales, and profit. And Klaviyo and email marketing is my jam and favorite way to make money in e-commerce.
Awesome. And as I was just saying, Jessica is also an e-commerce podcaster at e-commerce badassery and a member of the e-commerce master plan crew, hence why that one's still up there. But Russell is not a member of the e-commerce master plan crew because he's something far more important, which is one of the team at Pure 360. So Russell, do you want to tell everyone a little bit more about what you guys do over there, please?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Chloe. Hi, guys. So yeah, Russell Flawn. I work at Pure 360. I'm the commercial director. Pure 360, we offer email marketing solutions, web personalization solutions. We try to find ambitious marketers, grow them, and help them make that leap from bulk e-blast email campaigns over to marketing automation. And it's a big step. It's a trust issue. And so we help try to chunk it up and make that transition quite easy. So hopefully we can talk about some of that today.
Sounds good to me. Right, let's get rid of those so you can see who everyone is as you're watching, so you can see all our names. Now, I'm going to start us off with kind of the reason why I've done the summit this way this year. We have one day on acquisition, which was yesterday, and we got today on customer retention, which is because I think with the huge surge in orders everyone had in the last kind of 18 months because of the impact of the pandemic, I think there's finally, and I say this as a marketer who loves a bit of direct mail, who loves a bit of email, who loves some clever customer targeting strategies, finally, I feel like marketers are giving customer retention the focus it deserves. But so we wanted to shine a light on both sides of the coin. But I guess my question coming into this is, with customer retention, there's a lot of bits and pieces we could do. And, you guys have talked about many of those, both the more hard to do, less automatable stuff, the highly automatable stuff. If someone out there watching right now has never done the slightest bit of customer retention before, they've only gone after acquisition, what's the most fail-safe marketing tactic for them to start with? And if we get a bit samey, we might not come to everyone with every question, just to pre-warn you. But I think Russell looked like he wanted to jump in there. So dare I pick on you, Russell, to start us off on this one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, retaining customers. So we're talking about first customer. They bought once. Now you've got to retain them. It's a challenge. The main reason why it's so important is because it's cost you a lot of money to get that customer. The cost of acquiring someone is high. So retaining them is extremely important. Easy ways to do that. Well, as some of the other great talks, Jessica can cover her bits of value-added content is really important. And then on the other side, using technology and automation and targeting is the other side that's extremely important. So on the bit that I spoke about, personalization, technology, targeting by personas, in the simplest form, probably splitting your customers, even manually, from your e-commerce system into a couple of segments of those new customers, first-time purchasers, who are recent or who are lapsed first-time purchasers, and just creating, even manually, a different offer for both. Trying out 2 different bulk campaigns, both their first-time purchasers, but one is recent, one is lapsed, and doing an offer or some level of discount to one, and more value-added content or some kind of incentive, product-based incentive for the other. Without technology, it just starts from targeting and segmenting. So yeah, that would be the first step, is understanding first-time purchasers, who's recent and who's lapsed.
I like the consistency from your session there, Russell. So Russell's putting his nail on the hat of the metaphor that I'm getting completely wrong there, of let's go after those first-time buyers, do our segmentation and work out what works for them. Anyone got any other places they'd recommend someone goes first, or tactics they do first as their first step into retention? Greg, you just unmuted, so I'm guessing you want to jump in here.
Yeah, I'll start from a very high level, right? So part of your question was, what's the easiest place to start? And I think Russell hit on some really good things, right? That first touch point is really key. I think if you want the simplest thing to do, the bare simplest thing to do, is just set up some sort of thank you email to go out to purchasers, right? So obviously you could tweak your shipping and order confirmation messages to make it a little more personal, customized, whatever. Put some branding in there, say thank you in there as well, but just start that communication off. So have just a bounce back or a thank you email goes off. You can incentivize, you can not incentivize. You absolutely don't need to in that one, right? You're just trying to thank the customer. I've seen both of them work. But low-hanging fruit, it's the most simple thing to do. It's just a message that thanks the customer and provides some sort of call to action to them, whether it's the shop, go to customer service page, check out a blog, recipes, whatever it could be. But that would be my go-to for simple starting points.
Cool. I like the way we're kind of like slowly eking our way back to the order. And I particularly like that as someone who firmly believes that the successful retention starts at the beginning of the acquisition process. But we're not going to get into that maelstrom today. But Jessica, you're nodding. What would be your tip for someone taking their first step in retention?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing I go to is the post-purchase email. And I always will, if I'm working with a client, ask them, what does your customer need to know and understand to make sure they have a good experience with your product so that they come back and leave you a good review, right? You've got that one chance to kind of make a first impression. So if there's some sort of education around your product that they need, there's a lot of times where people don't like something and it turns out to be user error because you didn't educate them enough, right? So just think about, what does the customer need to know and understand? And if you can really create that first experience that is so great, can't help but tell everyone about it, now you've got them hooked.
I like it. And that, Matt, I don't know if you seen the comments on your video today, your session. We've already had someone getting excited about the popcorn. So because when Jessica was saying that post-purchase email and getting them ready as it's arriving, I was thinking about the unboxing experience, which I know is something you do a lot on. So would that be your customer retention starter for 10, or would you go somewhere else?
I would actually go somewhere else, which I appreciate is slightly controversial.
No.
I think I'd probably start higher up the food chain. And I smiled when you asked the question, because you've got 3 email marketers on the panel, and they're going to go, oh, it's in the, this email or that email. It's great. So I can't go email. So what I am going to say is, and it may be slightly more obvious, is you've got to have a product that people want to buy again. And I think this is, for me, probably one of the big learnings, especially if you sell a product which is not something that people are going to, if you sell couches, for example, well, I'm not going to buy one of those every 3 months. So what product can I sell on my website that means people have the opportunity to come back from me time and time again? What can I upsell to them on a regular basis? And I think as long as I've got a product and deliver it a bit like what Jessica said. As long as I give them an experience that makes them want to come back and buy again, the email is just the icing on the cake, because that just reminds you. Do you know what I mean? But if I've not got the product, a great product, a repeatable product or an upsell product, and I've not got that experience, which is great, that customer experience, I don't care how good the emails are, they're not coming back, right? So, and I liked again what Jessica said, because I was having this conversation with Will Lawrenson on the podcast the other day. Sorry to do a cheap plug, but I was. And he said it's interesting how the first email that most people send once a purchase has been made is the "can you leave us a review" email, which in his mind, and I have to agree with this, is the wrong email to send at that point. And it's that whole thank you, that whole, like Jessica said, what do they need to know to make this experience a really great experience? And so, yeah, I'd probably start a little bit higher up the chain and just make sure actually I have got products that people want to buy, and I can deliver the experience that makes them want to buy again.
It's interesting you say when should they get the review email, because I am currently deliberating when the feedback survey should go out for the summit. Because I know there's a lot of people who are watching it live, and I know there's a lot of you guys out there, you are watching it live, you are consuming it all, and I want the fresh feedback. But I also know I can't send you a feedback email every day for the next week, because I know a lot of you are watching it on replay. So, and I'm sure some of you are saving it up for the weekend, because I know a lot of people who have a full-time job, that's when they do their e-commerce stuff. So I'm like, when do I send out the feedback survey? So, yeah, so hard to do. Answers on a postcard, please. Put your opinions in the chat and the comments, and watch to see when I actually do send it out. Obviously, I have to build it first. But anyway, that's tomorrow's problem. Greg.
Yeah, I would say Matt touched on a really good point there, and I saw Jessica nodding her head as well, so I'm pretty sure she agrees here. But a lot of times when people talk about, say, post-purchase experience, especially with the email side, right, their thoughts immediately go to order confirmation, shipping confirmation, review emails, right? And they consider that the post-purchase series. I would take the opposite view and say that's not the post-purchase series. Those are, like, you should build your series around those things. I think Matt touched on a really good point with, so many companies that when I was doing consulting, I would run into this and they would say, well, I've got a review email going out, and they think that is it. I think the problem comes in is the mindset shift. So product review emails are designed to do good for the company. It doesn't really do anything for the customer, right? You can jazz it up and put a discount, but it's still, hey, what can you do for me? I think the mindset, and everyone so far has touched on this, is what can I do for the customer, right? And that's the mindset shift that I think a lot of e-commerce brands don't think about, because they're so intent on how many reviews can I get? Can I get the reviews quickly? Can I get them coming back? Because I know if they leave a review, they're probably more glued into the brand. But I think it's a total mindset shift where people need to think about retention. It's what can I do for you, and not what can the customer do for the company.
That's a really good point. So I don't think any of us can top that. So I think we'll go on to the next question, which I'm going to send Russell. I'm going to pre-warn you. I'm sending this one in your direction first. Okay. There were two big themes, she says, holding up 4 fingers, 2 big themes throughout today in the summit. And one was personalization and one was automation. Even Matt's session covered, got into bits of both of those, even though we were talking about the harder to do stuff and the more literally personal stuff. So, and we talked about segmenting, we talked about different bits and pieces, and it strikes me that sometimes, all these to create the perfect, the end goal, with all the personalization and all the segmentation and all the automation, is a lot of work. So does it make more sense to start off by trying to get the personalization right, or does it make more sense to start off by getting the automation right? Because I would suggest that an unpersonalized sequence is better to have that live whilst you work out the segmentation and the personalized content than nothing whilst you try and work out the personalized content. Russell, hopefully you understand this question, because everyone, you've seen me blowing my nose. The head cold I've been trying to get rid of for the last 2 days has totally taken over now. So the brain is a little fuzzy. So hopefully Russell has got what that question is. So Russell, automation or personalization, where should we focus most of our effort?
So I would say automation first in order to free up time so the marketing manager, director, the marketing team can focus on personalization, as in the writing stories, creating content, being creative. A marketeer, you know, our customers, they're usually doing a lot of bulk email marketing and all the other channels they manage. Their time is full up already. So it's hard to automate parts of their customer lifecycle they're currently not automating. But if they can, or they get their software partner to help them automate, then that frees up their time to focus on being creative, because marketers should really just spend their time being creative, not spend all their time setting up automations and setting up automated personalization. But you do have to automate a couple of at least 2 or 3 parts of the life cycle that you're missing revenues opportunities from. You know, most of our customers, we usually say, right, how many stages of your life cycle are you automating currently? And it's usually a welcome and a cart abandonment email. And that's about it. Then they do their bulk messaging. So if they can automate a couple of stages, they get the revenue and frees up their time to do less bulk marketing and spend more time creating amazing value-added content to flesh out and enrich all of their content in all of their emails.
I like that. Get the automation happening, save the time so we can do the personalization properly. And there were lots of nodding heads going on as we were doing that. Does anyone want to jump in with some further thoughts? Oh, Jessica's grinning from ear to ear. I'm going to have to come to you, Jessica.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to really agree with Russell and say get the automation up, because it's 99% of the time it's going to start making you money right away. And then you can just continue to iterate on that, because you can spend all your time brainstorming and thinking up the perfect automation, but you're not going to know until you get people moving through it and you have data to look at. So just get something up, and then email automation is a living, breathing thing, right? It's not set it and forget it forever. So you're going to have to continue to go back and update it. So you might as well just start with your MVP.
Can we quickly explain what MVP is? Because I know a lot of people are going, oh, what's an MVP? Do I need to buy an MVP? Googling MVP. So Jessica, could you quickly outline MVP for those who are going, oh, I need one of those?
Nope. It just means minimum viable product. That's it. Just get your basic stuff up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something is better than nothing, and then make it better over time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We just saved a lot of people going, can't find this MVP software. Where's it gone? Matt, how about you on the kind of we did talk a lot about email. We talked about automating things that one wouldn't have thought were automatable, but do you agree we got to go automation first to free up the time and generate the cash to spend on the personalization?
Yes-ish.
Yes-ish. I could see the ish coming a mile away there.
So I'd say yes. I mean, if we just lived in a world where it was as binary as that, then yes, I get and Russell's right and Jessica's right. You know, you do the automation, something's better than nothing. You're going to iterate it, you're going to move around. But I don't think the world's that black and white, because even just writing a handwritten note and throwing that in the parcel that I'm sending out, that takes 5 seconds. I only have to do that in every 20 parcels. I don't have to do it in every one. Do you see what I mean? And it's that kind of, I think you can do things which don't take a lot of time on both sides of the fence whilst you're figuring out the rest of it. I think so many times, what's that phrase? Paralysis by analysis. Do you know what I mean? We're so focused in on figuring something out that everything else kind of takes a back seat. And I think there are just simple little things that you can do straight off the bat, which don't cost time, which don't cost money, that are both personalization and automation. And just go for it, you know. But if the world in which you find yourself is fundamentally, you know, you have to do one or the other, then yes, I would go down the automation route. So that's what I mean when I say yes-ish.
Yes-ish. Yes, with a lot of caveats. If only it was a binary world we operated in, you could just, you know, spend 3 months working on the automation and then spend some on the personalization. Greg, do you have anything to add to this debate, or is it time for another question?
I'm not going to repeat everything that Russell and Jessica said. I wholeheartedly agree with them, right? I think Matt hit on a key point is what are you talking about? Are you talking about, online or offline, right? So offline, you gave a nice example there. It makes sense to write those notes or do whatever you need to. Online makes perfect sense to automate first, right? Because that's where a thank you message without my name or without any picture of what I just purchased is still a thank you message, and it's still nice, right? That's the automation that's keeping it driving. And then, as Jessica said, you can just iterate from there. So I think we touched on kind of both grounds there, but I think it depends on which area you want to focus on, online or offline, and make it work for you there. That's all I got.
No, that's cool. That is good, Greg. And yeah, it is certainly one of those areas where you have to look at your own business and work out what the right step for you is. Because if you're a small business with not much time, doing those handwritten notes is something which doesn't really cost you anything or really take you any time, because you're probably doing the picking and packing yourself anyway. But if you're turning over a couple of million a year, then email automation is probably going to be a more cost-effective route to go down in the first instance. Okay, everyone out there, yes, you guys, we are after your questions. If you've got any, add them in the chat box on YouTube, on Facebook, or on the website. So get those coming in, and I will do my best to ask them of our panelists. Do get them in nice and quick though, because we only have limited time, and the sooner you ask those questions, the sooner I can put them to our guests. I'm doing a quick check to see if we've got anything coming in. Nothing that doesn't replicate what we've already been covering, so that's okay. So we touched on this in Russell's answer in particular. He talked about how it saves you time if you do it in one specific way. And if you do the automation first, it gives you time back to spend on things. Then Jessica added in about the financial side of it, the fact that the automation is going to make you money. So here's a big old question for you. When we're thinking about our marketing budgets, our marketing time, our focus, our testing, how do we work out how much of it to spend on acquisition versus how much to spend on retention? Because it's certainly, I've always experienced, it's usually the case that there's an awful lot more noise around sexy, cool customer acquisition tactics than there is around the solid delivering retention methods. So it can be easy to get pulled in one way or another. And something I personally found, I know a lot of people find useful, is going, this is my allowance for retention, be that time or money or focus or diary blocking or whatever it is. So how would you advise somebody who's trying to work out how to split their time or marketing budget across those two areas? Anyone eager to jump in on this one? Matt, are you nodding?
Sure, yeah. I can tell you what I do. That might be helpful.
That sounds good. We'll take that.
So the way I think about this, don't get me wrong, I don't have timesheets where I measure this, but this is my rule of thumb. I look at our websites, and this works if you're an established e-commerce business, right? I look at our websites and I go, right, what's the revenue from new customers? And what's the revenue from returning customers? What's that split? Is it 70-30? Is it 60-40? What's that split for you? And that's in effect how I apportion budget. As long as, and here's my little caveat in all of this, as long as I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing in acquisition and what I should be doing in retention, if there's no gaping holes and I'm just sort of trundling along, that's how I kind of split my budget. That's how we split our time. I kind of let our customers go, well, actually, this is kind of how we do it. Now, if that rate, let's say I'm on a 80-20 ratio, but the ratio for our industry should be 60-40, then fundamentally I've got some issues and I need to understand what's going on there. Yeah, that's my kind of hard and fast rule. Just look at your numbers and use those to help guide you.
What I really like about that is it kind of it gives you a bit more budget to spend on retention, on the basis that theoretically retention cost per order should be lower. Mm-hmm. Therefore, by splitting it that way, your retention should grow faster than your acquisition grows, which should give you great profitability. Very clever.
And it grows the retention. And this is where you can actually, if you've got a good team around you, you can get really creative in how you spend that money. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't have to, just forget the discount thing, right? But what else can we do that's going to add value to our existing customers, that's going to draw them back? You can get super, super creative with things like that.
Yeah, because I think often people go, oh, I've done the post-purchase sequence, the proper one, not just the review and the order messages. And I've got some broadcasts, I've done some segmentation, and there's some what you bought last personalization going on. And yeah, I'm out. I'm going back to my Facebook ads.
Well, I would say that things like packaging, we talked about the popcorn packaging. For me, that would come under that retention budget, because it's delivering a product and experience that makes people want to come back again, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I hear it a lot of time, we don't have the money to spend on good packaging. But if you think about it as part of your marketing budget, it's telling part of your story. Does that work? Well, for a lot of people it does.
Cool. Do we have, from email marketing triangle, as you are on my screen, Russell, you're grinning away there. It's either at my terrible joke or you've got something you want to add in on this one.
It was both. So I would say retention needs to be a bit like the law of diffusion of innovation arc, the adoption of like technology, automation, personalization. It requires a big uptake first and then let it become BAU. You need to put quite a lot into retention marketing that is automated, personalized. But I would recommend you do that early on, set up, plug in gaps of your customer lifecycle, because post-purchase, you've got so many that you can target and understand each of those buying cycles: upsell, cross-sell, loyalty, lapse, replenishment. There's a lot of stages where you can automate. So putting the effort in upfront on retention frees up the time to put it back into acquisition later on. But the reason also why I say that is because there is many misconceptions with customer behavior post-purchase. And what I mean by that is the customers we work with, where we're doing custom lifetime value analysis or RFM, recency frequency monitoring modeling, a lot of our customers believe, their misconception is they think they have many more repeat purchases than they actually do. There's so many customers who think 30-40% of their customer base buys regularly, and when you do actual RFM analysis and show them 98% of their customer base, as in everyone who's ever made a purchase, 98% has only ever bought once, and there's only a 2% who's bought multiple times. Once they realize that, but no, there's so many places within the post-purchase that they can automate, there's just a massive opportunity to claw back and make some repeated revenue streams. Once that's set up, bring it down the resource levels and put it into acquisition. So I definitely say retention first.
Yeah, there is that great thing with retention, isn't there? Once it's set up, it's just tweaking. Most of it's not things that have to be attended to.
Jessica was absolutely right. It always requires effort and constant adding in layers of the business's stories to make the messaging real. But if you're not doing it at all, focus on that first, because there's so many revenue opportunities.
Jessica, Greg, do either of you have anything you desperately want to say on this topic, or can I switch to another question?
I just got one other thing to say.
Go for it.
Is you have to also think about where you are in your business and the natural consumability of your product. I don't know if that's a word. Essentially, the earlier you are in your business, the more you need to focus on acquisition, obviously, but also think about your product. To use a really extreme example, if you sell mattresses, you're not going to get that repeat customer, right? They're going to buy a mattress. Yeah, you can cross-sell them stuff, but they're probably not going to buy another mattress for about 5 years. So you need to focus more on the acquisition. So it's really, the natural frequency that people buy your product, and then where you are in your business. So it's really specific to everyone. And that's all I had to say.
It's cool, and that was partly preempting my next question, which I'll pose to Greg, because it's a slight twist on what we're talking about, which is for a business starting up. Because I know we've got a lot of startups tuning in. Should they care about retention on day one? It's like I've always said, you should have some form of welcome email campaign on day one, because you're still improving your marketing. You want to get those conversions. But should we have bothered with anything in retention in our first couple of months live?
So I would, if I'm looking at my spreadsheet, the one that Matt doesn't have right now. No, I'm just teasing. I would say this is kind of like a tail wagging the dog type thing, right? It's a chicken egg. So we talk about the cost of acquisition, right? So if you're doing paid social, paid search, you're doing maybe offering a discount for signing up for an email program or an SMS program. There's a cost associated with those discounts and for this paid activity. So we're paying to acquire. Do you need a welcome message? Yeah, I probably would, because that's going to feed into those acquisition costs. Now, from the retention side, retention gets broken down. I mean, Russell talked about it early on in the conversation. He talked about lapsed buyers and things like this, right? That's part of retention. But then we have our short-term retention. I would say at a minimum, have something, have a thank you message, have a bounce back, have something going out there, because you want to, I always say the legs feed the wolf, right? You want to feed the wolf here. These things are going to go in. Ultimately, what you find a lot of brands, especially startups, what they do is they build out a welcome message or a welcome series, and they're doing the cost for acquisition. They get the customer in and they make a purchase. And they're like, great. And then a lot of times they devalue the post-purchase and they focus on lapsed purchasers here, because they're like, oh, you know what? I've got these customers and they've lapsed. I've got to win them back. And what ultimately happens is, well, I've got to win them back. So now I'm going to offer deep discounts to get them to come back to buy again. And ultimately what you're doing is you're paying to acquire a customer for a second time. And if you shift that retention to very early on after the purchase, whether it's unboxing, it's email, it's, whatever methods, it's handwritten notes or social interaction, like those things are going to pay dividends over time, which ultimately should reduce your lapsed purchaser costs and the necessity to discount later. So I think it all kind of feeds together. I don't think you talked about, we don't live in a binary world, but I would say if you're a brand starting out, the three things I would look at almost immediately, maybe four, but you get the welcome, you get a post-purchase thank you, you get a card abandonment because it's so close to money at that point. And then if you want to, put a fourth, it's that browse behavior type stuff where you're kind of feeding that customer journey. But those are the four things that, the three, if you want to cut out the browse, that are almost necessities early on.
Very comprehensive answer. Thank you, Greg. We have had a question come in from on the website, which is quite a long question. So I've just copied and pasted it in. So the question is from nameless attendee, because the website doesn't tell me who's asking this. So thank you for asking your question. It says, hi guys, is spending on postcode targeting TV advertising to acquire customers a waste of money compared with time spent on retention on email marketing? Who fancies answering that one? No one? Am I going to have to do it? No.
So I'll jump in with a really bad quick answer just to get me off the plate, and then I'll let the other guys pick me up here. So the answer is I don't know. I'm not well versed in TV advertising, so not my strong suit. I will say that my guess is, having somewhat priced some of that stuff before, email will probably be more cost effective for you. But again, I think Jessica hit on it a couple minutes ago. What product are you selling, right? Because that's probably going to matter a whole lot. But that's my answer is I don't know, to be honest with you. Just not my wheelhouse. But email's great.
Yeah,
I think that would be my answer as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends, right? It depends on your product, where you are in your business, what your focus is. If we were to generalize it, yes, focusing on the retention with email is ultimately likely to be more profitable at the end of the day. TV, I've done a lot of more traditional stuff in previous businesses that I worked with, of radio and billboard and that kind of thing. And that is really just about visibility, not necessarily conversion and sales. So it really just depends what your goals are.
Yeah, I think, Russell, do you want to jump in too?
Yeah, I agree with all the comments. I would also say, if the question, maybe I'd love to tweak the question. If there's postcode targeting on TV versus using location data or postcode targeting within email, then that's a apples for apples comparison. And I would say then it comes down to what customer base you have. If you have perhaps an older audience and you have stores, TV advertising and to target based on coming to our store in your local area is absolutely perfect and an efficient use of resource. If you have a younger audience who maybe watches more Netflix that doesn't have as many adverts, and they are more digitized, so location based email marketing would get more conversions, then I would say it's definitely more efficient for email. So the age of audience and whether you have bricks and mortar stores are two key factors for that question.
Yeah, I think to kind of summarize everything, I think you're asking the wrong question. I don't think your marketing plan should be, do I do email retention marketing, which is a time cost rather than a money cost, or do I spend money on TV advertising? I think then you're not comparing apples with apples, as Russell said there. What you need to do is the postcode targeting TV advertising, does that help you hit your customer acquisition targets? And is that money well spent? And then where's the best place to spend my time on my retention? And I think possibly you should be doing both of them. Not sure it's an either or, but interesting question. So thank you for sending that one through.
Yeah.
Now,
I definitely wouldn't do the TV advertising without the email marketing system in place.
Yes, you definitely want, and you should probably be touching on what Russell was saying. If you've worked out the postcode targets for that, you should be then working that through with your Facebook advertising activity and your Google ads activity and all the rest of it to make sure you're making the most of your TV spend. But that's very much a customer acquisition topic, and we're supposed to be talking customer retention. She says, realizing the next question she's going to ask hasn't got anything to do with customer retention either. We're going to go a bit meta because one of our panelists has asked a question via YouTube. So I'm going to let him ask it of the rest of our panelists. So Matt, I'm talking about you. So I thought it was a good question. So
yeah, sorry, I was just being cheeky because I've got the email triangle in front of me right here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have an opportunity to ask this really interesting question for me.
And I know you find it very hard to stop being the podcast host, Matt. So we'll let you stretch your wings and do your question.
You said before we went live, just talk, so I don't have to. So
I'm doing battle with the nose here, so this is totally fine by me.
No, what it was, the three email experts in front of me, what do you think the key innovation in email marketing is going to be in 2021? Or key change? What do you see? What's your prediction, your prophecy for 2021 with email marketing? Go.
Whilst they're all thinking, can I add a little bit in, and then we'll go to Greg?
Please do.
So I'm just going to add in a layer of this, which is we've spoken already in the event about how iOS 14 is massively changing things in Facebook ad world. I think this week Android have announced they're going to do the same by the end of the year. So there's all this turbulence in other areas, which I think has people turning to email. But is there anything big, as Matt was saying, is there anything big coming in email marketing that we should be doing? Hopefully now you've all had time to think as I waffle. Greg, you wanted to come in first.
So, well, I was only jumping in because no one else. I was going to let Lady first with Jessica there. So, as far as something big, I don't think you're going to see that. I think what we're seeing is, so we put out these benchmark reports last year quarterly and then a year-end one, and we're looking at year over year. And what you see is email continue to go up in revenue per email, number sends, your general metrics are going up as well. And I think, Chloe, you touched on the iOS 14 with Apple devices. Right. I think it's starting to put a greater emphasis on these opt-in channels, right? So not only email, but SMS. SMS is one of those things we are seeing a massive increase in this year. And I think if you're not doing it by this time next year, you're probably going to be behind everyone else. So, I mean, we've sent 400% more last year. Conversion rates doubled last year compared to the year before. And we're continuing to see that this year. So the one thing we're seeing with the trends on like these benchmark reports is not only the numbers going up, but it's just the power of what automation does for you. So we always talk about, I mentioned the increasing sales without the workload. We want to automate because most people are time strapped. They don't have the resources to, customize every single message. So you get those automations going that are driving sales. And we're routinely seeing that about 30% of all email sales are coming on automated messages. And they're about less than 2% of the total email sends. So if you think about the sheer volume, I think we're seeing a greater adoption of companies focusing on email. I think we're seeing, especially with the pandemic, people being home more, these opt-in channels where like you're going to social to escape some of that stuff. When you go to your promotions tab, you're kind of in that shopping mindset already. It's a good place to be in, but this is where people are going and searching for product discovery and things. And I think email's in a really good place right now. It's never really gone away, but I think we're not even at the top of where I think it can be. So I would say huge trend, a huge surprise, probably nothing, but you're seeing a greater focus and consumer appreciation for these opt-in channels.
Nice. Jessica?
Yeah. So I would say what we're going to see is more competition. So just like we saw more e-commerce competition once the pandemic hit, with the changes of iOS 14, there are more people realizing how important email is, right? Because it's the only thing you own. Of all the marketing that you guys do, email's the only thing that you own. And so I've seen a lot of smaller businesses like, oh, yeah, like I have to pay attention to this channel now. So I think there's just going to be more people doing a better job, which means it's up to you to stay consistent and keep improving. Because if you're not showing up in the inbox, your competitor is going to. But I don't think there's going to be anything revolutionary. And I mean, if Greg says there isn't, then there probably isn't.
You put way too much credence into what I say.
Russell, how about you? Are you guys at Pure 360 seeing anything coming down the line?
Yeah, so one is I've talked about our customers who find it hard. They're doing traditional bulk email marketing and they want to move. They have ambitions to do automations and all the use technology, but they don't trust customer behavior 100% yet. So what's going to happen is either they gain the confidence to start trusting customer data and proactively use technology to implement automations, or the technology will decide who to target, what to send, and send it, track what happens, and optimize it. So it'd be black box AI marketing. AI is a big word and it means many things, but in email marketing, the email platforms everyone's adding on channels and everyone's analyzing. A lot of people are analyzing the data, but the technologies will begin to make all the decisions for the marketeer, because marketers, as I said, should really just be creative and focus on the content and stories, leaving technology to do the rest. So the AI will very rapidly take over the decision making of the marketeer. That's going to happen over the next 1 to 5 years, but it will come thick and fast once the technology becomes stable and the algorithms become more accurate enough. So I see the adoption of black box AI marketing to just pour in my data and the system will decide not when to send and who to send, but what to send. And every part of the email will be automated. So that's coming and it will become rapidly, it will speed up. The things like AMP, certain technologies, new technologies like Matt asked, or AMP for email. So making emails a lot more interactive, having directly interactive buttons and carousels and purchase within an email, surveys within an email. That again is helping the customer experience side become, like Matt, in your talk, you spoke about one-click carts, making the email experience less about just clicking a link and going to your website, but actually doing things, transacting and engaging with the customer inside an email. That requires things like AMP for email technology, and that's coming, and a lot of providers are going to start implementing that. So there's a couple of examples from my side.
Nice. So I've got one more thing I'm going to throw into the mix, and then we're going to say our goodbyes, everybody out there, which is Google's customer match. It's a slight deviation from email, but still literally connected, which is where you feed your email segments through to Google Ads to do remarketing and targeting. The barrier for doing that is insanely high currently. Google are drastically lowering that later on this year. I don't know where they're lowering it to, but they're sending a lot of emails about it and they seem quite excited about it. So I'm guessing it's going to be really relevant to a lot of us. And they emailed me about it and I spend very, very little on Google Ads. So I think there's, and they know via my Google Analytics that, that I probably am not going to spend huge amounts on Google Ads. So yeah, I think that's going to be one to watch as well. But it is time for us to wrap this one up. So I'm going to start off by saying huge thank you to Jessica and Matt for coming and joining us, who are from respectively the e-commerce badassery podcast and business and the e-commerce podcast in Matt's case. And you can find out more about both of those via ecommercemasterplan.com/crew. I'm going to say a huge thank you to Russell as well. Thank you, Russell, from Pure 360. His details are on the screen. And last but definitely not least, we've got Greg, who apparently knows everything there is to know about email marketing in Jessica's eyes, at least, who you can contact via greg@omnisend.com or visit omnisend.com. Now, you four, I am going to hide from the screen, so it's time to do the pointless wave at the audience. Those of you who are still here, if you are tuning in on, hopefully this is the right one. Yes, that is the right one. If you're tuning in and watching us on Facebook or YouTube, then come and join the summit. All the sessions are available to replay. So all the bits we reference, if you thought someone was like a genius on that call, which I think, quite frankly, all four of them were, do go and watch their sessions that are part of the summit. All the replays are available for you right now. If you go to ecmp.info/summit 2021, you can get access to all of those. For those of you who are watching in the summit or who are watching on replay, we will have the ebook of the summit available for you tomorrow. That's definitely coming out tomorrow. And that is my team's notes on every single session with the key call to actions and some suggestions from me on where you can go to find out more about what each speaker was talking about too. And you may get a feedback form. But as I said earlier, I'm still mulling at what point is the best point to send the feedback form, and I've got to build it. So you may not get that tomorrow. We shall see. There you go. As a cliffhanger on which to end. Thank you all for coming along and joining in the summit. It's been an absolute blast. My nose has just about made it to the end without hospitalizing me, or well, probably sending me to bed with a Lemsip more accurately. So let me find the way we're going to outro to this video. So thank you all for being here. Please keep optimizing your marketing. Please go back and watch the replays, share those with your team. And it's been a pleasure putting all this content together for you. So I really hope it helps you, and I would really love to hear how it goes for you if you put any of these tactics in place. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. Time to play the outro.
You have a product you're passionate about, and now's the time to grow your online sales. Klaviyo can help. Klaviyo is the ultimate marketing platform for growing online sales. Build higher value customer relationships using email automation, SMS marketing, and list growth tools. Turn your dream into a reality with a free Klaviyo account.